What happens when you go silent, when you stop chasing, stop explaining, stop showing up where you're not valued? The world doesn't go quiet with you. It starts screaming. In your absence, they finally hear the echo of your presence. Disappearing doesn't mean weakness. Sometimes it's the ultimate show of strength. But most people won't understand that until it's too late. Don't skip this video. 1. They feel confused because they expected you to always be there. Never depend on the admiration of others. There is no strength in it. Marcus Aurelius. The Stoics taught us that attachment to others' perceptions is a chain. When you disappear, those who were used to your constant presence feel lost, not because they miss you, but because they lost their control. People rely on predictability. They expect you to show up, explain yourself, be available, and validate them. When you stop, they experience confusion, not reflection. You were always the first to text, always the one to patch things up. Then one day, you don't. Now they're left wondering, did I do something wrong? They replay the last message. They scroll through old texts. You didn't shout, you vanished. 2. They feel their own emptiness because your presence was filling a void. He who is not satisfied with a little is satisfied with nothing. Epictetus. Your light was making their darkness bearable. When you leave, the shadows return. But Stoicism teaches us you are not responsible for completing someone else's half-built soul. They were only cheerful around you, only motivated when you encouraged them. You were their emotional crutch. When you disappear, they don't just lose you, they confront their own hollowness. Notice who only grows when you water them. Then stop. Let them tend their own garden. Learn the difference between love and dependency. 3. They feel shame because your silence speaks louder than any confrontation. Silence is a lesson learned through life's many sufferings. Seneca. The Stoics remind us some truths don't need to be spoken. Silence is not weakness, it's clarity. And when you disappear without drama, it forces others to look inward. Instead of fighting back during betrayal, you walk away. No angry texts, no Instagram quotes, just silence. That silence becomes a mirror, and some people don't like what they see. When someone wrongs you, say nothing. Let your restraint be your revenge. 4. They feel envy, because peace looks powerful when they're still chaotic. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Epictetus. When you remove yourself from drama, others will feel the imbalance. They'll see your calm and mistake it for superiority. But that's on them, not you. Your phone is dry, your social circle shrinks. But you're finally sleeping better, reading more, healing in silence. Meanwhile, they're still in group chats full of gossip and noise. And somehow, they envy your peace. Mute the noise. Let your mind sharpen while theirs stays dull. 5. They feel regret because they never thought you'd actually walk away. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. Many test your boundaries thinking they're elastic. They push and pull until one day you don't bounce back. That's when regret creeps in. You were patient. You forgave more times than you should have. But when you finally disappeared, it stunned them. Now they regret taking your kindness for granted. Write down your emotional limits. Choose one to stop tolerating. If you vanish from one toxic pattern, you win. 6. They feel your strength because disappearing takes more courage than confrontation. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Epictetus. Walking away isn't avoidance, it's alignment. Stoicism doesn't teach us to win every argument. It teaches us to win our own peace. And when you disappear with grace, people finally realize your strength wasn't in your words, but your will. In a toxic friendship, you didn't yell. You didn't block them in rage. You simply stopped showing up. Now they tell others they just disappeared. That's power. That's stoicism. Stop justifying yourself. Let your energy speak louder than your explanations. 7. They feel curiosity Because people chase what retreats. The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. Epictetus. Human psychology is paradoxical. Ignore someone, and suddenly they want you. Disappear, and suddenly you matter. Why? Because mystery provokes reflection. Presence gets taken for granted. You unfollow someone. You stop liking their posts. A week later, they view your stories again. Why? Because disappearance creates intrigue. Absence is a teacher. Withdraw from the places where you're too available, and watch how quickly the silence draws attention. 8. They feel guilt, because your silence gives them time to think. Time heals what reason cannot. Seneca. When you disappear, you give people time. And time is a brutal teacher. It replays their words. It reopens their actions. And it stings. That sting is guilt. And it only shows up in silence. A family member said something cruel. You didn't retaliate. You simply distanced. Months later, they say, "I've been thinking." That's guilt doing its job. Let time work. Let your absence carve the lesson deeper than your voice ever could. 9. They feel powerless because you no longer react. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Marcus Aurelius. Stoicism is the art of non-reactivity. When people poke you and you don't flinch, they lose their grip. Disappearing from emotional chaos makes you untouchable. You used to argue. You used to respond to every jab. Then you stopped. Now they send a message, and it goes unanswered. Power has shifted. Let them wrestle with their own need for drama. 10. They feel your growth because disappearing is the start of becoming. First tell yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Epictetus. When you disappear, you're not ending a chapter. You're beginning one. In silence, you meet yourself. In solitude, you grow. Others feel that shift, and it unsettles them, because your evolution reminds them of their stagnation. You move to a new city. You stop posting online. You focus on your health, your craft, your healing. 6 months later, you reappear, not with an update, but with an aura. That's growth. That's transformation. Go invisible. Let the world miss you while you reforge yourself. When you disappear, when it's not about revenge, it's not about ego. It's about reclaiming the energy you gave away too freely. It's about remembering your presence is a privilege, and not everyone deserves access to it. Let them feel. Let them wonder. Let them realize. Because when you disappear, you don't fade. You become undeniable. What part of your life do you need to disappear from in order to grow? Comment it below. Write it into existence. If this message gave you strength, share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe to Silent Grit for more weekly wisdom. You are not lost when you disappear. You are only being reborn where no one is watching.